Let's consider the following example. Suppose we have $10,000 that we want to deposit in a bank at an annual interest rate of 3% with monthly interest capitalization. While it can be challenging to find a bank with these terms, this aspect is important for our example. Monthly capitalization means that the interest accrued for the month is added to the deposit amount. In the following month, interest is accrued on this new amount, and this process continues. So, let's look at the income we can generate. Let's activate cell A1 and enter the word month from the keyboard. Then select cell B1 and enter deposit amount. Press enter. You may notice that the title in cell B1 overlaps part of the adjacent cell C1. However, this does not mean that there is anything in cell C1. If a cell is too small to display all of its contents and an adjacent cell is empty, Excel will display the text on top of the adjacent empty cell. Let's enter day of the week into cell C1. You'll see that the title in cell B1 gets cut off at the border of cell C1. Again, this does not mean that the title is partially erased, it simply isn't displayed in full. However, if we look at the formula bar, we will find the complete verify that the text we entered has not changed. We can adjust the column width to display the full text. Move your mouse pointer over the border between the headers of columns B and C. The pointer will change, indicating that you can click left mouse button and drag the border to resize column B. If you want to automatically adjust the cell width to fit all the text entered, simply double-click on the border between the columns. This action adjusts the column's width to accommodate the text within the cells. Now, let's activate cell A2 and enter the name of the month. For example, if we made the deposit in November, we would type November into cell A2 and press enter. We can then continue entering month names, such as December, January, February, and so on. However, let's use the autocomplete feature to simplify this process. If we look closely at the table cursor, we will see a small square in its lower right corner, known as the fill handle. Let's pointing the mouse pointer at the fill handle. The mouse pointer will change to a cross. Click and hold the left mouse button, then drag it down to select cells from A2 to A13. When you release the mouse button, you will see that Excel automatically fills in the months in order. The autocomplete feature works similarly with the days of the week. For example, if you enter Monday and repeat the operation, Excel will provide a list of the days of the week in right order. To delete the entered data, you need to first select it. Start with the first cell containing the information you wish to remove, click and hold the left mouse button, then drag the cursor across the table until you reach the last cell, thereby selecting the entire range. Finally, press the delete key to clear the contents of all selected cells. Let's return to our table and calculate the income from the deposit for the first month. We will enter the calculation formula in cell B2. Let's start with the equal sign. When data entry in a cell begins with an equal sign, Excel recognizes that a formula is about to follow. This formula means that our deposit amount of $10,000 will be multiplied by 3%. Since the interest rate is annual, we divide the result by 12 to get the monthly income. After pressing the Enter key, the calculated value will appear in cell B2. But if we select cell B2, we will see the formula at the formula bar, and we can edit it here. Now we have received only the income from the deposit for the month, but we need to see the whole amount. It means our deposit amount of $10,000 plus interest for the last month. So, let's add the initial amount of the deposit to the formula. Next, we need to determine the income for the second month. We will calculate the interest based on the amount we obtained in the previous month. There is no need to enter the calculated value manually. We can use the value from cell B2 by specifying its address in the formula. Notice that the address of cell B2 is highlighted, and the cell itself is bordered in the same color. This visual indication allows for quick identification of which cell a particular formula argument corresponds to. Now we've calculated the income for the second month. To find out the total amount in the deposit after 2 months, we need to adjust the formula by adding the value from cell B2 to our existing formula. You can either type the cell address manually or click on the cell with the mouse to specify it. Now we need to repeat the same for the next month. The algorithm will be the same, so we get the following formula. Let's analyze the data. Now the table displays the values automatically calculated by the program. Let's enable the display of formulas on the Formulas tab. This will allow displaying formulas instead of values. If we analyze the formulas, we will see that in subsequent formulas we will only change the address of the cell in column B, because in each next month we need to use the value for the previous month. This means that the formula differs only in the cell address. And how can it be used? Well, the point is that we can use autocomplete data again, just like we did with the months. Let's grab the edge of the table cursor on cell B3 and move it all the way to cell B13. If we now look at the formulas inserted in the cells, we can see that they differ only in the values of the addresses of the cells in column B, and each next formula increasing the cell address by 1. Only the formula in cell B2 differs because it contains the initial deposit amount. Let's improve the table and ensure that the deposit amount is set in a separate cell. To do this, we need to free up space above the already created table. Let's shift all data to several rows below. To do this, use the mouse to select all cells with data, and hover the mouse pointer over the selection boundary. It will change its appearance, indicating that we can now grab the area with the mouse and move it. Move the selection 5 rows down, freeing up space for new data entry. If we look now to the formulas, we will find that the values of the cell addresses were automatically changed. Therefore, the calculation is still based on the first row of our table, precisely on the cell that now has the address B7. This Excel feature makes it very easy to create all kinds of tables. We will talk about it in more detail later, but for now let's create a separate field for the deposit amount. In cell A1 enter the name of our table Calculation of Deposit Income, and in cell A3, Deposit. Then in cell B3 we will put the amount of the deposit, $10,000. Now we need to edit the formula in cell B7, replace the deposit value with the value from cell B3. Select cell B7 and in the formula bar replace the deposit amount with cell B3. To do this, you can select the deposit amount in the formula bar and then click on cell B3. Its address will be automatically inserted into the formula. Let's disable the formula display mode on the Formulas tab. Then, change the amount of the initial deposit, for example, to $15,000, and all the values in the table will be automatically recalculated. This means that the values of the entire table depend on the amount specified in cell B3. If we turn the formula display back on and analyze the formulas in the table, we will notice that the same interest rate value appears in all of them. Let's improve the table by placing the interest rate values in a separate cell. This way, we will be able to control the calculations by changing both the initial deposit amount and the interest rate. However, in order to do that, we'll need some additional information, which I will discuss in the next video.